This stream is cleared for takeoff. Hi, happy Wednesday everyone. Welcome to another official developer Q&A. My name is Jayne. I am the Senior Community Manager for Microsoft Flight Simulator, and with me, as always, are Jorg, Seb, and Martial. So we do brief introductions. Jorg, welcome in. We are so happy to have you again. How are you?
Good to be here. Yes, we're looking forward to it. Hi to Frankfurt. I just saw that. I was born there. Anyways.
Nice. Seb, how are you doing today?
Hey, I'm great. I was born in Wiesbaden.
Yeah. Very cool. And Martial, hey, where were you born?
Nobody knows the place. It's Geneva, small town in France.
Nice. Okay.
Nice to be here.
Absolutely. And this is our March Q&A. Our last one was at the very beginning of March, but we'll consider that our February Q&A. We're really excited to be here today. We have a lot to cover, a lot we want to talk about. So we'll go ahead and get started. And as a reminder for you chat, we have changed the format a little bit where there's going to be 3 different Q&A sessions instead of one at the end. So there'll be plenty of chances to ask questions and get some answers. So let's go ahead and get started here. I'll kick it off to you, Jorg, first to talk a little bit more about Xbox Cloud Gaming that came out recently.
I actually wanted to say, first off, I want to say, sorry we're late.
Yes.
There was a video that just came in. We wanted to show you latest and greatest. We have a ton of videos, so it should be fun. Yeah, Xbox Cloud Gaming, we talked about it last time, and I don't know if you tried it. I personally think it's pretty amazing how well it works. But what I really wanted to say was, we have to celebrate something. We are breaking records again. We have seen the highest number of users in any month since, I think, playing any flight sim ever. And then the really good news is 80% of the people who try it on via Xbox Cloud Gaming are brand new to the hobby. So we have new people looking at flight simming for the first time. And, you know, cloud streaming is fascinating. It's just going to continue to grow into different countries, different devices. There's going to be different controllers. So it's really great. Like I encourage you to try it if you haven't yet, but the best news is there's new people coming in. It's good for all of us.
That's fantastic. Yes. Reminder is we're going to get new people into the community. Be kind, be helpful to each other. We're really excited about that. Thanks, Jorg. And now let's do a couple follow-up questions from the last Dev Q&A because there's definitely a few things we wanted to clarify and go over quickly. The first one being that vegetation slider that we mentioned. We know it's been on that feedback snapshot. And Seb, you talked about it a little bit last time, but I know there's some clarifying things you wanted to add to this, looking into it further.
Yes, exactly. So and something new coming also on Sim Update 9. So yeah, last time I think I said that there was already a slider for vegetation distance. Which is the case. So I'm showing it here on the video. Basically, the people are always referring to the terrain LOD distance, which is really a slider which tells the system how far we want to load in stream and data. But then there's also the trees slider. I mean, it's more like an option, like trees, low, medium, high, ultra. That is specifically the tree draw distance, and because the distance also defines like density. If you push them out, you see them further, and they also get denser when close to the camera. So it's really a sort of a hybrid, like all the options here, they are a sort of a hybrid quality and distance option. But because it's hard to actually see, so what's coming with Sim Update 9, this new window here is going to be in the dev mode for everyone available. It allows to switch trees to red, so that it's super easy to see trees, basically. And it displays all the information, how the system works, what it's doing, and what tree distance you get. So here I'm doing the same thing again. So by the way, I'm in low graphic settings. So I chose low graphic setting, and I moved the trees to ultra. And here you see the difference, and it's much easier to see on red. So you'll be able to do that on Sim Update 9. So now I'm switching to ultra. And and putting, like, this is really the maximum detail, so ultra plus 400, and going down on the trees low, and I'm gonna test all the different distances. So in this little debug window, you can actually see it's called a matrix. You see all the distances of trees depending on what terrain detail you have, from 25 to 400, and what tree distance option you chose. And it gives you different. I mean, low is always 4.1 kilometers, but ultra varies depending on how far you get the data. So if people, for example, want to have only trees on ultra, what they need to do is put the terrain distance to 400 to get all the data, put the trees on ultra, and make everything low, right? If you want to have everything else on low, then and only the trees are going to be at the highest distance. But if you are, let's say, playing at so just on ultra, when you put the graphic setting to ultra, we put the trees on ultra, right? The trees reflect the graphic setting. So if you're already on ultra, you can't move it up. But if you're on a lower option than ultra, you can always move the trees alone up to ultra. And yeah, and this little window is really nice because people who have questions, issues, feedback to make on trees can look at this. So that's where we are now. We didn't change the way the distance option works. It's still trees, it's still low, medium, high, ultra. We added information on distance. We added the little debug window. And if people have further questions, feedback, they can just use that tool to basically send us information, and they will probably see also how the distance works, because it's latitude dependent. It depends on the vegetation type. It depends on the data that we have. It depends on all sorts of things, and it's much clearer with that tool.
That's fantastic. Yeah, it's always great to get these types of tools to really visualize what's happening. So looking forward to that in Sim Update 9 next month. So thank you so much, Seb. Yeah.
Maybe you can answer to your question, because people are saying that they want like further distant trees without increasing the size of the LOD, but we've got some restrictions regarding trees on LOD lower than 13.
So the little window, the debug window shows it, right? The low tree setting is 4.1 kilometer. The ultra tree setting, which is the largest distance, basically goes as far as we have data, right? So if you have a terrain LOD at 25, it goes to, I can read it, 6 kilometers or something. And you can basically see the higher that, so terrain level of detail, that really means how far am I downloading data, right? And in order to put trees somewhere, we need to have the data to put the trees. And the other options mean, I don't know, how far am I displaying buildings, how far am I displaying grass, bushes, textures, whatever. But the terrain LOD is really how far I'm pulling down data. And so the tree distance slider allows basically to go between 4 kilometers and as far as you have data. And the highest we have currently is 21 point something, 0.8 or something. That's what you see, the ultra on the right. If we wanted to have trees further than that, well, then we have to go get more data in, because for basically to plant a tree, we need to have the aerial color, so the satellite picture. So know what color the tree is supposed to be. We need to have an altitude to put it at the right altitude. We need to know if there's a forest, so that's the forest mask. We need to know if there's a road or a building to take away the tree, right? And so basically we need almost all the data just to be able to put a tree somewhere.
Okay, that makes sense. Perfect. Thank you so much. All right, the next follow-up we have, passed on to you, Jorg, is about history update.
Yeah, yeah, I heard about that. So basically, we made an update to fix a few things. Really, just one thing on the entitlement side, which is basically invisible to most people. It wasn't supposed to be a big deal at all. Somehow it ended up being 8 gigabytes or so, and the reason for that was not because we had a massive amount of data. It's we switched build machines. And the build machine basically has a different timestamp, and then due to the timestamp, you get a better size. But in the end, so there's no mystery here really. But in the end, I got that loud and clear from Jayne and from Sean from the community side. We will be even more verbose. Even when we do like a little tweak, we'll tell you what it is. So there's a mystery, because there really wasn't one.
Awesome. Thanks, Jorg. And last but not least, I know last Q&A we talked about a couple mouse bug issues. Martial, we wanted to check in with that on the status of those. The first one being about an issue with the mouse where the mouse cursor could disappear in free look when you're moving around.
So this one is fixed, and it's going to be published with the next Sim updates, Sim update 9, that will happen at the end of June, mid-June.
Sim update 9. Yes. Next month?
Next month. I was
It's late April.
It's April. The other one is
Okay.
For the world update. That's right.
Okay, yep, yeah, and that second mouse issue we're looking at, it's the input from the second peripheral not recognized when virtual cursor is active.
So here we've got an issue because when you're selecting copy views or some kind of input, we are introducing some context and there's a collision there. So it needs to be rethought, and we think that we will bring that for the next SIM update, and we'll try not to miss the date. That would be at the end of July, what we call SIM update 10, mid-July to end of July.
Okay, thank you so much. All right, we'll move on to the roadmap. If you remember, we have Jorg made this fancy roadmap for 2022 that we have right now.
Yeah, so this is last time we talked about cloud streaming. That was actually the first surprise, and then we had announced that Iberia is coming. It was planned for yesterday, but honestly, we saw that the plane crashed in China. I think it, I don't know how you see the interaction between simming and aviation. We think there's a connection, so we didn't feel like it was right to celebrate a release of Flight Sim a day after over 100 people lost their lives in a plane. So we moved it to tomorrow. So apologies for that. But at least today we'll show you a tease, so you can at least see the trailer. And you can't see the whole trailer, otherwise PR will kill me. But Jayne, if you just want to run it.
Sure. All right. Yes, we faded out right there. Full version tomorrow.
Yes, tomorrow. I think it's a really nice update. So you saw Gaia did a great job with new POIs. We have like 99. There's 4 bespoke airports. Orbex worked on 100 generic airport fixes. 100 airports were basically improved. Then we have 6 new photogrammetry cities. We have new DEM, new aerials, and then obviously missions again, bush trips, landing challenges, and discovery flights. Really nice celebration of Iberia, and I'm glad somebody said Andorra, go Andorra.
Yes.
Anyways, so coming tomorrow.
Yep. And an announcement. Here we go.
Well, as it's tradition, every time we launch a world update, we say what the next one is, and the next one is some of you had it right last time. Actually, it is Italy and Malta. What to say? Like this is going to be our biggest world update yet. There will be 18 AOIs, which are essentially photogrammetry areas. Think about it as 12 cities and 6 suburbs.
Wow.
It's going to be 8,000 square kilometers of photogrammetry, which is the biggest so far was Australia with 6,800. So we keep ratcheting this up. The Bing team did a great job, actually. Here you see some of the POIs that Gaia is making. I just picked a few, starting in the north. I mean, if you've been to Italy, it's a beautiful country. So I think it's going to be just great. We have literally brand new, not 2021 aerial data coming from Bing, which is great. We have worked with almost all the Italian states, so we have new DEM data for everything. So I'm super looking forward to this one, and it's coming to you in mid-May.
Fantastic. Thank you, Jorg. We're really excited about that. Let's go on to our Q&A session 1. So chat, if you have any questions, feel free to ask. There are a few that I found in the forums, though, that I'll also be asking at this time. And that first one is, how does internal testing work at Asobo? Does Asobo have dedicated full-time Q&A personnel? Is testing done on a... what are the requirements for a build to pass testing? So I'll kick that off first to Martial for the Asobo side.
Okay, so yes, we do have a test team, obviously. If I've got to describe the test process, it would be like a rocket with several stages. And the first one is obviously Asobo, and we are here to create the builds and to test that. So then Microsoft test teams can have their hands on it. And the last stage of the rocket would be the certification that is happening on the very last end of the process for being sure that the builds are compliant with the requirements for Xbox, for instance. So what we are doing here at Asobo, we've got the team is split in several parts. I will start with the first part, which is the build and release management. So these guys, they are creating the packages, they are creating the executable, and they are making sure that it's working on every single platform. So it starts with Windows Store, Steam, and obviously Xbox now. And so this is a team of 5, and after that we've got a team of around 15 people to test the content. So the very first content we've got is the flow itself, and to test the feature. Everything including UI, UX, saves, selections, everything like that. We've got a team of 5 for the blend themselves. There are blend specialists, and 3 of them are actual pilots. And for most of the times, we are trying to get also pilots which are in between situations, like Airbus pilots that are waiting for new missions, for instance. So we added a team some commercial pilots. It's not the case anymore when I'm speaking, but it should be something that will happen very soon. So we've got 5 people on the blend team. We've got also around I think it's 3 people on the wall testing with 1 coordinator. So these guys, they are taking all the assets you've seen presented by Jorg, and they are testing their implementation into the sim to see if it's fitting well with the landscape, and if everything's not broken, if the streaming is working. After that, we've got another small team of 3 for testing the airports. So same here, everything that has been created by our partners to make sure that they've been included into the sim, that we've got the right navigation data. And after that, I could talk about the input and VR. So it's pretty hard to make sure that we are compliant with all the inputs and all the outputs that we can find on the market. So what we're doing here is that we've got several headsets, we've got several OTAs and yokes, and this is distributed to the whole team. And we have some coordinators that make sure that everything has been tested. We can't guarantee that it's the case for all versions because there's so much hardware in the market. And I will conclude the description of the team by talking about the people which are reading the live community, that are collecting all the feedbacks we are having. It's a super important part here because, as Jorg said, it's almost impossible to test all the assets, or to test the whole world every time, to test all the hardware that is available on the market. So that's why we need the community to be helping us. That way we've introduced the flighting sessions. And those guys we've got 2 testers which are monitoring the community activity to make sure that everything is going fine. And also I would love to talk about 3 other people which are collecting feedbacks in the tool we are using, which is Zendesk. So if you do the math, it's more than 20 people which are working on the quality assurance side. I think I've been pretty precise.
Nice.
I
Thank
hope
you.
I'm not forgetting someone.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean,
I don't
I
think
can
so.
speak. I can add to the other side, which is the Microsoft side. There's about 50 folks testing in various ways, or testing or interacting with bugs.
Mhm.
And I mean, without going as deep as Martial just did, like, so we have roughly 50 people. But what's fascinating about the project is we have, for example, 10 people, by and large, sometimes more, dedicated to the marketplace, because we're trying to make sure that the things in the marketplace actually do work, at least inside the marketplace. And then we try to test the planes that they actually fly and whatnot, right? But what's interesting about that is the third parties have been so impressively creative, and the output is so huge that it's starting to actually, I wouldn't say worry me, but it's just recognize that there's already 1,000 add-ons, recognize that there's about 100 things coming out every week. It's kind of interesting. And then our team is growing. The development team is getting larger and larger, as you probably know. I think we are all up now 250 probably, or something like this. And with that, there's just more and more surface area. And I think we need to go, in my mind, we need your help. Martial just said that. There is no way we can learn everything about everything, every single plane in the world, every airport. So we will really start to be more structured about getting flighting feedback and flighting feedback in specific areas. Like my dream would be that some of y'all help us with specific planes that you're interested in before they come out. Some of you help us with airports or whatnot, and that would be a great collaboration. We have some tools coming, as you know. There's the airport scenery tool is coming, so you can actually go fix your own bugs. If you find something that we just don't even know about, just go fix it and submit it to us. So I think the surface area of a flight sim is just huge, and I think we will continue to grow and add more people as we need to. But it would be terrific if you also help us.
Mm-hmm. Thanks for saying that, Jorg. Yes.
And I forgot two members of the team, the two testers which are dedicated to the dev mode and the SDK.
Yes,
so,
absolutely.
Yeah.
Important. Thank you, Martial.
Yeah.
I see a great question in chat. This one would probably be for Jorg. I know we just talked about Xbox Cloud Gaming. They're wondering about, does the future hold HOTA support, mouse and keyboard, stuff like that? Do you have any details on that?
Oh man, so I put how do you call it? I put a foot in my mouth the other day because I said something about, oh yeah, mouse and keyboard are coming and all that stuff, and it's not officially committed to by the team. Look, cloud. There is a part of me that is convinced that cloud gaming is the future, simply because you can stream to anything. Like, you can stream to your PC, you can stream to your Xbox, whatever device you have, and it is a really good experience. And I know the team is delighted by how well the reception has been of Flight Sim, and that helps us, right? When we have specific requests, the things that we can control is, for example, touch and gyro. That's more on our side. Mouse keyboard is a platform thing, and then everything beyond that, like HOTAS or like every single piece of equipment, frankly, is a platform side thing. But we are successful. Flight Sim is a big deal, and I think we have very good cards that over time this was just going to continue to grow. But I tried to say earlier, the Xbox streaming service would continue to grow. More countries, more devices that are supported, more input devices, and I don't have any specifics. I can just always be excited about what the future holds for this, and I know that team is very supportive. So a little vague, but I think we'll be in good hands.
Right. Thank you, Jorg. All right, another foreign question here. Will Sim Update 9 be focused on bug fixes or new features?
Yeah, okay, so at least it doesn't have any theme. And so the stat we've got today was like we've got more than 800 bug fixes. So sometimes very, very small bug fixes, sometimes it's more important. And the on the build notes, we've already have 154 entries. So it's not like dedicated to some theme. Even though we are going to bring some nice improvements. The first one is about the Cessna 172. So the CFD that we've shown last time, it's going to be introduced with the Cessna, and the Cessna will also have the benefit from the new propeller system and some improvement in settings. We are also bringing a large amount of improvements to the FA18, so it's going to be super cool to use now. And on top of that, we've got a bunch of improvements, and it will be described into the videos.
I think we'll show some of them here in a minute.
True. Yes.
Seb has made some videos. Oh yeah, super cool.
Yeah, we'll get to that very soon. Excited to show you. Okay, thank you, Martial. All right, there's one bug fix question here I think we can answer. There was a bug that came out. Is there a fix coming for the jet engine sounds in the cockpit that was surfaced recently?
Yeah. So the answer is yes. In the next sim update.
Yep, sim update 9. Perfect. All right.
In April.
I think we should go look at those videos that Seb has made, and we'll get to our next session of questions here after that. So Seb, let's talk about sim update 9 and what's in store for those improvements.
Yeah. So I made a few videos of all the updates regarding flight model and a little bit beyond flight model. The last video is a teaser at what is partially sim update 9, but also coming after, right, over the year. Mm-hmm. The first, so Martial told about CFD simulation, so that's now in the sim. I'm showing how to enable it in the editor. It can be enabled on any plane in the files, right, in the CFG. So we did that on the 172. The 172 is now using this, as well as the new propeller model. But in the editor, you can turn it on, as I did here in the tool. You can just turn it on. You can visualize. You can choose the different visualization modes on any plane that's out there. Your plane, our planes, third-party planes. Plane makers can, or anyone can just open the dev mode and just turn this on. If you like it, if it works, then you can add it to the CFG files of your plane and enable it by default. But this can be tested on any aircraft. I would say this is more like sort of a beta, right? You can already test it on all the aircraft out there, but we enable it on one because we only enable it once we have been able to fully test the aircraft with it, to make sure it really works on everywhere. You also see there's a ton of information in there based on the CFD. So that can be useful for plane makers and make sure that everything is working right. And for example, it tells you how, like the airflow goes faster over the wing than under the wing. You can see that. Or the impact on temperature, right? And this is the kind of data that is going to allow us to get better condensation effects and stuff like that in the future. Mm-hmm. So this is available in sim update 9. And we can move to the next video. So the little force vectors, which was already available in the dev tool, which is very useful to see what's going on on the flight model, has been improved. So the colors are better, the position of the vectors are better. So red basically means that the airflow is detached, so you have been stalled. So you see the force vectors going back when it stalls. This can be entirely tweaked in the flight model, right? Plane makers can now define how the forces move on the wing when the AOA changes and when it stalls. We can move to the next video. There's a new tool coming. I think the next video is about this. What is this? Oh no, wait. So we improved there's a tool which tells all sorts of properties about the weight of the aircraft. For example, you can see how the pressure center, lift center, where basically the flight model aerodynamic forces are applied. So this has been cleaned up and made better so that it's easier to understand. There's been a lot of feedback in the forums about, hey, what happens with the swept wing? The pressure center is not right, and all sorts of questions. And so this debug is much clearer and allows to understand what is going on. And below that, we also improved the moment of inertia. So that's something which makes the planes feel more heavy or lighter or be more stable or more twitchy or whatever in the air. So the debug here has been improved and makes it easier for plane makers to check if the plane's data is correct. So that's been a overhaul of this debug window, which was there already, but it's been improved. We can move to the next one. This is a new debug, which is here to improve stall. So we used that to improve the stall of the 172 when we moved it to the CFD. It really allows to, so when you see on the vectors, when the plane stalls, sometimes one wing stalls, sometimes the other wing stalls, sometimes everything stalls or in the middle. And this here is really the lift polar curve of the aircraft. But you can see the green is the whole aircraft and blue is not very visible. Blue is the middle and orange and yellow is the sides, left side and right side. And you can see when I pull the ailerons, you can see the lift polar moving left and right. And that's what can cause a asymmetric stall, for example, or if I put some rudder or all these things. So if you want to make sure your stall is behaving exactly like you want when you make a plane. So for example, usually stalls are different if you're full power, if you have flaps or not, if you're climbing, if you're depending on the speed, if you are flying in a curve. The stall is different in all these situations, and this debug really helps you understanding why and how the stall is happening, and to change it and make sure it's working correctly. So that's a new tool here in the plane making tools. On the next video. So this is a new effect which has been moved over and which is available in Simulate 9. We enabled it on the Cessna 172 and it's been added for the helicopters. So on helicopters, the rotors do what is called flapping, and flapping is really the blade which stores aerodynamic energy, and it's sort of a spring force, and then it goes into the whole airframe. So the force vector system, which has been there before, if you enable this soft body simulation, you will see two vectors instead of one. The first one, which is the red one, is the air pushing on the surface, but then the surface is going to slightly bend, twist. It's going to store energy. And the green one is the energy, the force that is applied from the surface onto the aircraft, right? It's sort of propagating. And so if you enable this, you have two. So we enabled this on the 172. So the 172 in the core simulation is now soft body. It's a little bit squishy, like in a real aircraft. So it's very little on this. The plane is very small, so it's maybe, I don't know, half an inch or something. It's not going to have big wind flex or anything. But it has an impact, right? You can see the two vectors are not exactly the same. There's a small delay, and this creates a little bit of lag in the inputs, a little bit less twitchiness on the plane. It feels globally a little bit heavier, a little bit less fast to respond. But as I said, it's very, very subtle on this aircraft. This can be enabled on the CFG of any plane. There's parameters to configure it. We use it on the 172. And just like the propeller system and everything else, we're going to roll this out on other aircraft, which are in the sim by default, but plane makers can start using this from Simulate 9 if they want to play around or enable this in the aircraft.
Cool.
And I think the next one is, next video is, yeah, exactly. So this is something which is going to come out over the next few sim updates. So we have had a lot of feedback on turbulence, wind, updraft, downdraft, clouds. And so here you can see a tool which allows to visualize the airflow in the world. And you can see that basically on the sea, there is no updraft. It's in the afternoon, the air is hot, the land is hot, forest is cold. So you can see where the air goes up, where it goes down. And this is simulated all around the aircraft. And it creates the turbulences, it creates the bumps. If you want to use an updraft to gain energy, get up, you can use that. So this tool is not available yet. I'm just showing what is coming over the next months. However, the effects, updraft, downdraft, These are the ones which are currently in the sim, right? That's it's just the tool allows us to visualize, and we're going to bring this here tool, which is going to be more, I would say, user-friendly. So just like, I don't know, like the ribbons, which allow you to have a trajectory landing or whatever, the circuit around the airfield. There's going to be an option to enable the visualization of air in the world, and we'll be able to, so you can see the bumps, you can see the draft or the wind or whatever. It's also nice because people can report, I don't know, I was in the real world, there was a lot of hot air and in the sim it didn't work, and live weather, so maybe it can be useful for bug reporting too. So this is what we're working on currently. And also something nice, you can maybe see it on the debug here. We're going to run a CFD over this, so which is going to improve basically the way the whole simulation behaves. And so, for example, small fields are not going to generate updrafts, larger fields, yes, and it's going to create more turbulence behind mountains and all these things. So that's a teaser what's coming. Simulate 9 has this air like what you're seeing here, but you don't have the visualization yet. That's going to come later, and we're going to improve basically based on that, how the airflow works.
Puff and Flight says, do all these sweet physics updates have any negative effect on performance?
On the, if you go back on the window here, you can see the cost of it. In the video, it's actually displayed in here. So the I don't know if you can see it here, 180 microseconds, 160. It's the fifth line or something. So the CFD on the airplane cost about 100 microseconds, and the airflow on the world like 140, 130. So that's 230 microseconds plus. And what we did is we optimized the rest of the flight model, and we gained exactly that. So it's neutral, right? It costs a little bit, and it's not a lot, right? It's costs maybe 1% of the CPU. But we gained about 1% on the other hand. So the benefits, I mean, the impact on performance should be completely neutral.
Nice. Okay. Thanks, Seb. And that kind of leads to the first question in our session 2 Q&A here, which is, will the new propeller simulation allow native VTOL simulation?
I'm going to answer it this way. The new propeller simulation is compatible with the VTOL. So whether you use a helicopter blade or a propeller for, like for example, an engine propeller, you can tilt it up, so you can make a VTOL. And the propeller blade, the new simulation, the airflow physics completely works with you could make a drone, you could make a helicopter, you could make anything. Is the new propeller simulation enough to make a VTOL? No, it's compatible with it. If you want to make a VTOL, I think we're still limited to 4 engines or something like that. Most VTOLs have a lot more than 4 engines. So we're also gonna need to unlock the number of engines to allow VTOL. And also some VTOLs they basically can change the axis. So the engine can move forward or upward or stuff like that. So the angle can currently be different, but I don't think, so I actually don't know. I don't think it can be animated. It can change in real time. So that's something we're also going to need to add to completely support VTOL or things like that. But yeah, what we have is currently already compatible. I actually tried, right? When I did the very first helicopter tests, I took a plane, moved the engine upwards, made a giant blade, and turned on the engine to see what happened. So it's already compatible, but there's other stuff, yeah, that's going to be missing. And of course, VTOLs have a very subtle system which controls the spin, right, of the RPM. Like if you want to turn this way or tilt or move up or just stabilize, it's all controlled by propeller RPM. And so that, of course, is something which is also needed to have a VTOL fly and be stable, right? You don't only need propellers.
Yep. Thank you so much, Seb. A chat question I saw earlier. Do we have an update, Jorg, on the short-term solution for the Xbox WASM issue? And you're muted. Okay, there you go.
I was always so fascinated by Seb myself. So the answer is the team is working on it. I think it's unclear yet if we can get this in the sim update 9. I think the more realistic time frame is sim update 10, which would be late July. We know it's not awesome and super fast, but we also need to test this. So I think there's lots of work being done. We think the solution will work, but we need to really be careful before we, because I think people have been waiting. There's a bunch of different planes we need to look at. I don't know, Martial, you're closer to it than I am, but that's where I think we are.
Yes, exactly. And it's also, another layer of loading things and having some piece of the code being signed. So our goal also is not to do some regression. So that's why we need to test the system and to make sure that it will work with everything, and that the committee won't be I don't know what's the issue. That's we'll be pleased by the solution we're going to bring.
Thank you so much. And another question for you, Jorg. When do we plan on tackling VR issues?
Yeah, we just talked about this. I mean, honestly, it came up last time, and we had planned on talking about VR last time, and I saw some chat comments that when are you guys talking about this? And it just, frankly, we know 10% of you play pretty much exclusively VR, and I would say I'm probably close to one of you. Like I play on different devices, but I play on my VR all the time, and we just need to dedicate the time. Like, I'm sorry, there's a lot going on, but we are, so right before the call, Martial and I were actually just talking about this. So I think we're gonna sit down this week, next week, and talk this through. We have your feedback. We know what's important, and we need to just go do the work.
Great, thank you, Jorg. We'll take one more chat question here. It's Direct Storage API just got released. Will this be coming to Microsoft Flight Simulator?
Yeah, I just looked into this because I honestly wasn't as aware of it as one might think. It sure seems cool, but we need to evaluate exactly what it means for us.
I will do one more. I'm not sure if any of you three have this answer, but
I wanted to answer one question. You talked about the world update, and I was like, okay, I probably should have said that. Sure, the cities in Portugal, I'll tell you all the photogrammetry cities. It's Lisbon. Okay. I will butcher all these names. Barreiro, Cascais, Coimbra, that's in Portugal, and then Malaga and Bilbao in Spain.
Okay, perfect. Last question from chat here. Do we have any update on, I know we discussed this in a Q&A a few sessions ago, but there's a black avionics bug on Xbox where the screens go black towards the end of a flight and sometimes results in a CTD.
Yeah, I saw the comments.
Yeah, so the comments, I'm very sorry because I spent some time with the team to connect the status of the fact that the framework is going down on some configurations while flying, and I didn't ask the question on that, and I don't know the status right now. So I'm very sorry. I can't tell.
Okay.
I will try to bring more information during the next call.
Okay.
Next call, the next.
Yep. So that will appear in our next session where we do the follow-ups from the last Q&A. We'll see if we can provide a great update for you on that. All right. So we'll move on. We still have another session for Q&As soon, but let's talk about aircrafts. Jorg.
Oh, right. Okay, so we didn't, so last time I think we went a little bit overboard and had too many people, so I'll just talk through it today without any guests. Next time we'll probably have some guests again. So then the first slide, I don't know, I just put this together last night, I forget. I think so the first plane is Local Legend 1. There is going to be an update, and I screwed up the date. Look at this. Wonderful. The update is coming. The update is coming tomorrow.
Okay.
All of our QA team and Oliver have literally read everything there was to read in the forums, and we think we fixed just about everything. So that's coming tomorrow.
Okay, exciting.
Then on the next one, and I think there's always a lag here. Yeah, so Local Legend 2, the Fokker F7. I think you heard that from us before. We didn't feel great. The plane wasn't quite as put together as we wanted it to be. The team has been working since release. A big ass team has been working on this since release. They fixed literally hundreds of things. We thought we might get it done by tomorrow, but honestly, there's no real rush. We want to get it right. So I think it's either going to be next week or in the first few weeks of April, but just know that we are working on it, and we took your feedback very seriously. So that's coming. And then,
Local
Legend 3. So we talked about this last time, the Dornier Doge. So we always launch on our first party planes on Tuesdays. We had to move our world update. So we're going to launch this plane next Tuesday on the 29th. This is a screenshot. There's a little trailer it's not done, by the way. You see it as raw as it is. So we will not publish this, but just for you guys, here it is. So I'm a little bit of a geek of this. I love this plane. You know, it's a badass plane. So I don't know if you know how much you know about it. In 1925, Amundsen flew with it to the North Pole. In 26, and which is, by the way, why it's associated with World Update 8. Roman Franco flew from Spain to Argentina with the Plus Ultra. Then Gronau flew to the north through the North Atlantic. He actually used the same plane as Amundsen did. And then he flew around the world in 1932. That thing is awesome. And just to say that, like we were so lucky. So this gentleman here, I think I showed this before, his family has dedicated themselves to researching this plane for the last 70 years. He has an amazing collection of photographs and information, and we read everything we could possibly read. We had support from Dornier. We went to Friedrichshafen, where they have the replica of the N25. Then we flew, and it took us a year to make contact with the museum in Lujan, where the Plus Ultra is. We actually went to the Plus Ultra just last month to scan it. And the Dornier family is supporting us. It's been just a great, I'm so happy. And somebody said, is every local legend German? Like, the Fokker isn't German. Just wanted to say that. Sounds German. He lived in Germany for a while, but the guy was actually not. He's Dutch. But anyways, and this, I think we're going to take a break from German planes just because you say that. But I love this plane. I hope you will too. And it's coming next week.
Speaking of planes coming, we have the famous Flyer 2, Jorg.
Yes. So this comes out in April 26th together with Sim Update 9, and it is not a German plane. It's a Granville GB, so it's made by Coronado, and I think you all hopefully enjoyed the stagger wing that they made. And it's not just one of them. If you go to the next slide, it's two of them. So it's Model Z and the R2. I think I think these are the cutest, funnest, most awesome looking things ever. And I think we're going to have a great time flying them in April.
Mm-hmm. So that being said, we have an update to the roadmap here that you made.
Right. Oh yeah, our calendar, our advanced calendar. There's an animation.
I don't have the animation.
Click one more time.
Oh man. Sorry, I don't have it on the right view, Jorg. Your nice animations. I'm sorry.
Okay. Well, if you would have animations, you would see that basically the May. So first off, I have to say, Jorgi screwed up. I had World Update I think 7 through or 8 through 17 or something.
Mm-hmm.
That V was not supposed to be there. This year it's World Update 7 through 12 because there's not enough months in the year.
Yeah.
But basically in May we now have Italy established, and then we showed the famous flyer too with GBs.
Nice.
More coming next month. Oh yeah.
Awesome. Thank you for the aircraft update. We're all pretty stoked about everything coming.
Okay. Maybe I'm going to say, because I saw that somewhere. So some people were, I want to give you an update. So
okay.
The Antonov we talked about before, the plane is essentially done. We were days away, literally a day away, 2 days away from finishing the license with Antonov. Antonov is located in Kiev, and we cannot reach our colleagues that we have worked with. So we currently are sitting here with a finished plane, and we're waiting for Antonov to, essentially reemerge after the chaos obviously has subsided. So that's that. And then the ATR, Hans he's actually working directly with Asobo on the ATR 42 and 72-600, making great progress. And I think we'll have him here maybe next time. I think it'll be good to get an update. I mean, it's our expert level plane, right? So we want to kick ass on this one. And so it's going to take a while to get it done, but progress is really good.
Okay, great. Let's move on to our last Q&A here. I see some questions in the chat, so I'll ask some of those. The first question I have, though, I got from the forums, which is, would we ever have the possibility of having some sort of demo area in the marketplace for add-ons that people want to buy?
I'll take that one. So it's interesting. So, as I said a few times, we've been pretty overwhelmed by the amount of add-ons that third parties have generated. It's over 1,000. We know there's another 1,000 pretty much already done. So we're like, okay, we're in the thousands of things. Interesting. Our team is now, I think, 8 dedicated people, because we have to ingest all the content. And when you sometimes say, hey, where's all the stuff? Well, we need to ingest it. And we talked to the Minecraft team, which is sort of the closest equivalent we have. And they have really good tools to automate this. They have sort of I think their goal is to have 0 humans touching the actual ingestion. So I'm completely up for doing a demo area, but what I think you really want is us to ingest it so you can go play it, not via the marketplace and not via some community folder. So if we would do it right now, it actually would delay all other publications, and I don't think that's the right thing. I think the third parties would be very unhappy with us if we were to do this, but I think I want to. So it might take us till next year. It will take a while. We need to. We are writing tools. We've hired programmers to write tools. It's just going to take time. We were much more successful than we thought we'd be with the marketplace. It's a great thing for everybody that so much stuff is coming, but there's sort of pipeline things we need to sort out.
Great. Okay, thanks, Jorg. And I see this question in chat from Martial. This is about the bush trips. So we know there's been some issues with bush trips, definitely since Sim Update 5. Do we have a plan on addressing those bush trip issues?
Yes, we have scheduled some bush trip improvement for sim update 10, the one that will be published in late July. So it includes some improvements in the experience itself, but also on the UI side. That we have problems on both sides.
Okay, awesome, thank you. And there's a couple questions. One's related when talking about the Dornier earlier. So with those types of plans coming out, are there going to be improvements to the water physics? Like, can you start the Dornier like in the water, cold and dark? Do we have plans for that down the line?
Seb, do you have any answer on that? I don't think we have.
There's
No,
already a few
Oh.
water planes at the sim, so nothing special planned for the Dornier release. It's going to have the same water plane physics than every other water plane. And then are we going to improve water physics in the future? I mean, maybe they're looking on the backlog and how high it is on the priorities.
Yep. Okay. Thank you. Here's a question about another possible slider or toggle. Would there be a possibility of getting a toggle for sharpening or unsharpening options in the Hello, I lost everyone.
Hello.
Okay, I'm back.
Again?
Are you back? Sorry. Apologies, chat.
That's a
My
relief.
audio system died. It's back. I think I was mid-question there, so I'm just gonna go ahead and repeat the question. Apologies.
Please.
So could there be a sharpen option in the menu if you want to unsharpen or sharpen your graphics? For example, 1080p monitors, they say has an over-sharpened look. Wondering if that could be a toggle.
I know we have a sharpening post-process filter, which is, I think, actually linked with the TAA. I don't think there's an option right now, and I think, I mean, it's definitely feasible to add a sharpening slider. I mean, we should add that to the list and see when we can do it. I think it was maybe in the options file at some point, maybe, or maybe not, maybe I'm wrong. I've definitely seen it in our code options. So yeah, we can add that to a list of stuff to do, add a sharpening or de-sharpening. I think people may want to have both, have it both ways. Yeah.
Okay. Another question that's about the water physics. Is the new CFD system usable on water physics?
So CFDs can do water or can do air, but is it usable right now? I mean, not yet, or not. I mean, that's something we would need to change. And so in the future, at some point, probably, but right now, not yet.
Okay. Great question here. Would it be possible to get a more complex crash report if the sim has a CTD so users can better identify third-party issues or conflict?
So we are working on that. We should come with good news about this subject. Better news, at least.
All right.
Let's just say a little bit more. I think stability has been a focus, right? I think you probably saw that. We see pretty significantly increased stability improvements on Sim Update 8. Sim Update 9 is also looking at this, and there is including tooling that you were just asking about. So I think people are working on it. I think it's rolling out with Sim Update 9. I'm not 100% sure, Martial. I think so.
I don't know if we had the time to include everything we wanted to bring. I've got to make sure of that.
Yep. Question from Homie. How's the glider development going?
Good.
Fine.
We built the first few gliders.
Nice.
Seb can speak to Seb's. Do you want to speak to this?
So I can already say what is in sim update 10. We fixed the negative flaps. So there's one plane which already has that out there. It's the Flight Design CTSL or CTSL. I don't know what the exact name is. It has a flap position which is default at 0, but you can go to -10, I think, or something, which is something which a lot of gliders do also have, which is almost sort of like a spoiler flap position, and that did not work correctly. So that's been fixed in Simulator 10. What I just showed at the end of my video series, the whole draft simulation, that's something which is basically also being worked on, because it's important for any plane, because it's nice to have bumps and everything, but it's even more important for gliders, right? Because you want to have the updrafts to glide and go get thermals and go up. That's a thing which been moving forward for that specific need, and maybe other people can comment on other features.
Yeah. Earlier, someone was asking, do you think we'll have working title back on soon for kind of an update on what they're working on right now?
Yeah, so we talked about this, at least between us. I think working title, we want something to be fully integrated and done, right? It's easy. We don't want to go into the show roadmaps all the time. You know, people show roadmaps a lot. It's more important what's in the software. So we are we're gonna have Matt on once we actually have it in the sim, and then we can talk about the next stuff. They're working on a ton. The team is grown. I can say that much, which is good. But let's just get one thing complete before we start talking about more stuff.
Cool, thank you. All right, are there any improvements coming for the Boeing 787 Dreamliner or Premium Deluxe planes in general?
Yes.
If that's the case, do we know when? Are they just going to be continuous, or
no,
big updates?
It's probably going to be a specific moment in time.
Okay.
Probably later or late this year.
Awesome.
The CJ, I mean, yeah, it's a variety of planes that are being touched.
All right. Will snow ever be removed from runways of large international airports? In real life, runways are kept clear of snow.
That's novelty.
They are trying, but sometimes it snows on runways too. No, I think currently the snow is entirely procedural, and depending on the runway, if it's too thick, it even holds on runways. It is supposed to be like a snow which has been rolled over, flattened, whatever. But on some runways, because we don't have a system which works. I mean, we have not tuned airport by airport. We did a global snow layer tuning, and some airports just have a lot more because it's the way the runway looks. Basically, what we did is we simulated that dark surfaces receive more heat from the sun and from the environment in general. So snow melts faster on dark surfaces. So airports which have very bright runways, sometimes because it's not tarmac but concrete or whatever, or just because the aerial is brighter, they will have more snow. So that's something we need to rework to get runways which are, I mean, completely without snow. But I would say that's really only true on large airports, right? I mean, on our small airfield, when it snows, they don't immediately remove the snow, or even not at all. So
yeah. And I guess they also applies there. Can we expect any fixes for frozen oceans, especially when live weather is on, for example, in Norway, where it wouldn't usually be frozen?
It's a feature that we haven't included yet. We are talking.
It's there's
on lakes, but not on oceans.
No, on oceans it has that.
I missed this part. I'm sorry.
Rivers.
Yeah, it has to be cold, and I think there's a ice shelf or something data which is coming. I think if there's a specific bug, because I checked it a lot in Greenland, because Norway, as that person said, it doesn't usually have a lot of ice, and so I didn't check Norway lately. I checked it on Greenland, And I don't know, now it's over probably anyway, but if there's a specific place, the issue with that is that it's very time dependent. On the live weather data we get, we need to wait until January, February to actually see or test it. I think there's still some, but if people can report it before the summer comes, specifically, we can go have a look and see what is going on.
Mm-hmm.
But last time I checked it in Greenland, all around the island, I mean, it was mostly okay. But we can go check in Norway.
Yeah, they're saying the Norwegian fjords.
Okay,
and
and fjords, but not in deep seas. Are
yes.
deep seas?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. If you go north in the winter, it's frozen.
Okay, gotcha. So earlier we mentioned improvements coming to the FA-18. Just wondering if there's anything specific we could touch on. What types of improvements is coming to that plane?
I can list quite a few if you.
Yeah. Go.
We were lucky to have feedback from actual pilots who have flown the thing.
Cool.
So the roll weights are now correct. So they're 220 something below 550 knots and 150 above. The thrust and whether you're in mill thrust or whether an afterburner has been corrected. The speeds are correct. So now you are gonna get. I mean, basically, we have we have the speed chart per altitude and per thrust setting. And so now on sea level, you're going to get 1.02 Mach in afterburner and 0.95 in mill. And that is going to be correct also at 20,000 feet or 35,000 feet. Or so the thrust is going to be correct. There's been improvements on the yaw damping, on the effects have been improved. I mean, a ton of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and this is for the plane dynamics, but we also have included some improvements in the HUDs, like lot of things, airspeed, NWS, cirrus indication, so plenty of new things. Yeah. And we also have changed also a bit the layouts of the display, depending on the feedback we've collected from the pilot. Seb was talking about.
Yeah. Cool.
Remember, it was supposed to come out with Maverick, and then the movie slipped twice. So I think what we shipped for Christmas, we were just in the Game of the Year edition. We just wanted people to just be able to start flying this.
Right.
This is the version that was intended. So it's coming. Obviously,
okay. Very cool.
As far as I know, the movie is coming out in 2 months. So we're getting there.
Yeah. So this is an interesting question. Could we give insight on how we work as a team being in different countries and places and how we coordinate together?
That is a long question.
Is there a short answer?
Well, Jorg is staying up very, very early.
Oh, yeah.
Yes,
that's true.
And sometimes we've got to stay very, very late in the night.
Yeah. Yeah. My day starts at 5 typically.
Sometimes
or earlier.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's good times.
Mm-hmm.
No, but I mean, think about it this way. There's really also a team around the world. But when you really think about, I mean, obviously, Asobo is in France. That's the vast majority of the bulk of the development is there. There's working title is distributed, Gaia is distributed, all kinds of other people we work with are distributed. So I think it's, maybe the methodology, we talk a lot on Teams and Discord. Phone calls are more for things where we have to coordinate with more people. So that's typically how we run. But it's we can let's have a beer sometime, talk about this.
Absolutely. Another great question I saw, is there any more OSM, OpenStreetMap data coming to the sim?
Yes. So Bing is integrating like crazy, and there's currently an initiative going on to update the data in South America. Mm-hmm. And we have not updated it, but we need to. So we just need to make a decision when we do it. It's a pretty big deal, right? We have to run building detection everywhere, right? Which is a computationally interesting thing that we need to do, but we know we're going to do it. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's the whole point of it, right? That's the cool part about OSM. I mean, one step at a time, right? Like I certainly have hopes and dreams of direct integration into OSM, blah, blah, blah. Like, I think there's a cool tool that I could see, but the first things first, and that's the aircraft, the scenery gateway for the airports. That's the most important thing first. And then after that, we can do great things together with the OSM community.
Yeah. Augie's asking, are there more complex planes coming to Xbox soon?
From us or from in general?
Maybe in general from us, or I don't know if you're asking about third-party planes.
I mean, third-party planes, I think at the very beginning, somebody was asking, is the Concorde coming to Xbox? The answer is, I don't know, because so what happens is I can't wait for that plane, by the way. DC design looks super cool.
Mm-hmm.
But we don't have the package yet. So it comes down to what they got up and running, and then once we see the package, we test it.
And we've got to be honest here, not having the WASM working on Xbox doesn't help also.
Yeah, people who have legacy code, that's mostly like new planes. I mean, I think there are plenty of cool planes being made. The new ones don't have legacy C++ code, and they are completely fine. It's the people that have a few 100,000 lines of code that they flat out don't want to rewrite, and I understand. Like, it's a lot of work. But fundamentally, we are making some. And then third parties are all eager to bring it to Xbox because they know we have tons of people there, and then ultimately they would like to reach all the fans. Mm-hmm. So I'd just be assured, like, once this is resolved with WASM on Xbox, it's nothing to do with performance, right? It's really a security issue.
Yep, perfect. Speaking of, I know this is also on our feedback snapshot. Is there any progress on the investigation about making it possible to improve performance and improve premium and premium deluxe aircraft with mods?
Yes, so we talked about it. The SDK team has a solution, and it is currently now sitting with a few aircraft manufacturers. Because as you know, we basically license aircraft, and they need to be comfortable that we are making the aircraft moddable. And I think we're down to like one. We had 30 planes. It's a lot of planes. So we asked just about everybody we needed to ask, and there's one left. Once we have that, there is a way to do it.
Awesome. Great. Thank you for the update on that. All right. So we spoke about Maverick briefly. Someone asked if there's any content tease or any update we have for Maverick.
The team is having fun. I'm so sorry. I mean, it's a movie thing, right? Like, there's things we're currently working on the trailer, and we're not even allowed to put everything in the trailer that we're making. So like, we are very limited in what we can publicly say outside of people having fun internally, which is always a good sign.
Right.
And the other good sign would say, so Seb was talking about the pilot we had in the studio here, and I've seen him flying the content that we are going to offer in Maverick, and it was super impressive to see how this guy was dealing with the planes and the missions. It was super cool.
So exciting. Can't wait for that.
I mean, the one thing I want to say, just to set expectations, I think I might have said it to you guys, but it is a sim. We're not making a game here. This is not some sort of gamey arcadey thing. This is not what we're doing. So just expect us to stay true to the core of our simulation.
I'm sure we all appreciate hearing that. So that's great to know. Thank you, Jorg. And one last question: do you know the airports coming with the World Update 8 release tomorrow?
I do. I mean, I would say somebody was asking a question like a few pages ago about I think it was Vasa Airport that was part of Sim Update 5, World Update 5. Gaia did the fix. We're currently testing it, so it's coming. Now,
nice.
Just be assured that we always are reading all the feedback, and we are. Sometimes it's not instantaneous or anything, but we are getting these things fixed. So it's basically the airports are Andorra, and then Pico and Faro in Portugal, and A Coruña in Spain.
Great. Okay. Thank you. All right. We only have a minute left. Was there any other questions either any of you saw that you wanted to answer real quick? Or if not, we'll have some closing thoughts and get out of here.
I'm looking. I want everybody to walk away feeling like we actually listened and answered. Right? So I'm just like, did we miss anything? I mean, so VR. Some people keep asking what VR. We did talk about it. So just know that we're not ignoring you.
Weather still a work in progress.
Yeah.
So we're working on that. We know that it will be a work in progress during the whole time we're going to do the sim, because there's always new things, new data, new graphic improvements. So,
did we say anything about the clouds? Did we?
This session, no.
Did we do it last time?
We had kind of a whole Q&A session about weather. We did talk about clouds a lot.
As long as we showed the progress, because we think the progress is cool. And Martial, this is sim update 9.
It's some part of them, yes.
Yeah. Anyways, so let's see here. Yeah, well, we can keep going.
There's a lot of questions about like DirectX 12, DLSS, ray tracing. So I've seen great prototypes internally, and we're working on it. It's going to come at some point. So it's being worked on. It's cool. So.
Okay. Oh, one question I did see I meant to ask. So we've had the replay kind of beta out for a while. The question is, how's feedback been on it, and do you already know like what types of improvements you want to make it more user friendly?
I think it was very little feedback as far as I know. So honestly, I would appreciate more feedback, because we said, hey, this is a beta, let us know. And then people said, hey, it needs to work on Xbox. We know. But like even on PC, just please let us know what you think. It's super helpful. I mean, ultimately these tools we're making, this one it's also for the video team, but it's really good to know what is good for y'all.
Will there be a Sim Update 9 beta?
Yes.
And do we have an announcement on when that's coming, or look out in the dev update for it if not?
It should be soon. We've got to but we've got to publish the world update first.
Yep.
So everything's ready, and I'm not going to go too deeply in the explanation, but it's like a trend, and we need the next wagon to be the trade station before we can put the other one.
All right, so thank you so much, everybody. I think we hopefully got through some questions. Yes.
No. There's one more slide. It's important to me.
Oh.
Yeah.
It's important to me. So last time I was thinking about when do we talk about this, or how do we talk about this? I didn't want to talk about it at the beginning, because it sort of sets a somber tone, but I wanted to follow up on. Do you want to show this, Jayne?
Absolutely. Yep. I'm switching screens now.
I wanted to talk to you about the Ukraine. So I think like many of you, maybe all of you, we've been saddened, outraged about what's going on. We feel compelled to help to those impacted, and we are running a charitable campaign from March 24th to the 31st. And we will donate $5 for every purchase within our InSame marketplace to the International Rescue Committee to help fund their response in the crisis. So that if you read up on this, it's a great organization. So starting tomorrow, if you buy anything in the sim, $5 goes to them.
Yep. Yes, thank you. We will also post something to go along with this tomorrow, just for more information, but appreciate you creating that slide and doing this, Jorg.
It's mostly Julie on our team who did all the work, but I'm very, 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 very happy that we can do this.
Absolutely. All right, thank you so much, Jorg, Seb, and Martial, for coming on the stream today and answering a ton of questions and talking about what's coming up in the world update, in the sim update. We hope we got through most of your questions, but if not, we'll continue to look at them throughout the month and try to answer more for the next Q&A. Any final words any of you would like to say before we close out?
Thank you for everything. And I think you said it, Jayne. It's actually sort of on my heart. I know how many people came in who've never played a sim before. Help them out. You know, those are people just entering our hobby.
Yes.
Be nice, answer questions if you can, you know. I think it'll help our hobby long term. Like it's what we always hoped for, that flight sim would grow, we would attract new people who ultimately fall in love with aviation and stay. And I think we have that right now. There's many, many, many that are coming.
Yeah. Thank you, Jorg. All right, chat, we will see you here a little bit later today. We have a flying lesson with Forder Learn to Fly, where we're going to practice some slow flight. So check that out in a couple hours. And until then, thank you so much for tuning in. We'll see you later.
Thank you very much.
Bye, y'all.
Bye-bye.